I never managed to learn Chinese that well, and it is a burden that I'm gonna carry on myself until the day I die.
Hold on, if you're struggling in your Mandarin journey like Roman, watch this video before you decide to quit. They call it learning, we say it's fun. Welcome to Fun Mandarin 玩中文. 大家好, I'm Bryan. Around a month ago, I unexpectedly came across this video. Why I quit Mandarin Chinese. It was not only interesting, but also inspiring to watch Roman's experience with Mandarin. I noticed many struggles that resonate with that I have seen over the years of teaching. So I thought, why not make a video reacting to Roman's video and offering advice on the challenges you might also encounter in your Mandarin journey. So, let's watch this video with me.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. 大家好，我叫罗曼，我是一个俄罗斯的 YouTuber。今天我要给你们我的汉语学习的故事。我4年学习汉语，而且我的汉语水平真不太好了。
He has done a great job with his greeting in Mandarin. I'm actually very pleased to hear that he used 大家好 instead of 你好. As I mentioned in the first video, 你好 is so overused. If you're interested in more authentic greetings, please check it out after this one. Roman says he's 俄罗斯的 YouTuber. In Taiwan, people usually call YouTube YT or just YouTube. But if you want a Chinese translation, it could be 油管. YouTuber would be 油管博主, or you may also use 网红, which refers to an influencer. Now, I'm not nitpicking, but there are some grammar points we could learn from Roman sentences. 今天我要给你们我的汉语的学习的故事. I would rephrase it as 今天我要给你们说说. Today, I'm going to talk to you about. We can also use 分享 to share. 今天我要给你们分享. Today, I'm going to share with you about. These two sentences are very useful in presentation. Besides, instead of 给你们, you can also use 跟你们, and I personally prefer to use 跟. The second part of the sentence, 我的汉语的学习的故事. Instead of saying 故事, which sounds a bit like a direct translation from English, I would use 经验 experience instead. Also, Roman says 我4年学习汉语. I learned Mandarin for 4 years. It should be 我学了4年汉语. But if we want to say we've been learning Mandarin for 4 years and we're still working on it, we can say 我已经学了4年汉语. 已经 means already in Mandarin, and it indicates that your action is still ongoing. Next sentence, 而且我的汉语水平真不太好了. To show the contrast, instead of using 而且, we should use 但是, which refers to but and however. 汉语水平 means Mandarin proficiency or Mandarin level. So, if we want to express the Mandarin level is not very high, instead of using 不太好, we should use 不太高. Alternatively, we can simply say 汉语不太好. The whole sentence will be 我学了4年汉语，但是我的汉语真的不太好. Okay, let's move on.
If I learn Mandarin, maybe it would be easier for me to find a job later, you know? And that's really it. That's the sole reason why I picked the hardest language in the world, and that was that.
I think this is the reason I've heard the most from Mandarin learners. It's very practical and there's nothing wrong with it. But I would like to discuss motivation here. There are 2 types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is when you do something for external rewards, like a prize, a pay raise, or a promising career. Intrinsic motivation is when you do something because it makes you feel good, or you find the task is interesting and satisfying. And guess what? Studies show that intrinsic motivation is more effective long-term for achieving goals. That's why I firmly believe that no matter what ultimate goal is, you have to enjoy the process you are undertaking. Like we always say, 兴趣是最好的老师, literally translating to interest is the best teacher. I think aiming for mastery in Mandarin to stand out in the job market is great, but the real trick to being proficient in the language is to make learning enjoyable and sustainable.
Here's this quiz I took back in the day when I was learning Chinese. How many Chinese characters do I know? Is like debatable, you know, it depends on whether you can read it or write it. Sometimes you can read it, but you can't really remember how to write it. It's a mess.
This is a challenge many learners might encounter, as you have to memorize both how the character is pronounced and how it is written. So, when revising characters or vocabulary, I always suggest students follow the mind gap technique. See it, say it, and sort it to bridge the gap between recognition and actual output in writing. Let me show you an example. When we have a list of vocabulary, meaning should always come first. We should know what it means. So, first, see if you can recognize them. Write down what you think they mean. Later, go back and check to see if you got them right. Next, test yourself to see if you can pronounce it. Either say it out loud or write down the pinyin so we can monitor it later. Last but not least, cover the word and see if we can write it by heart. Then group them into words we are confident in recognizing, saying, or writing. When we revise next time, we'll know which words to spend a bit more time on writing and which ones need more attention on pronunciation. This will make revision more efficient and effective.
Look, if you've never studied Mandarin, you wouldn't understand how guessing characters works. Essentially, when you learn a bunch of characters, there are similar things between different characters that sound the same, even though they are completely different in meaning and everything else, even in tone, whatever.
Roman pointed out a feature of Chinese characters. More than 80% of them are a combination of meaning and sound. So, if you know more radicals, you get more clues for learning new characters. Similarly, understanding more phonetic components gives you clues for pronunciation. You can check out more detailed techniques in our previous video later.
One of my main issues with studying Mandarin in the first place is that studying and reading is just so difficult when you have characters that you don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fine if you're talking about a text on the internet where you can actually copy and paste. However, when you have like a Mandarin textbook or like any just text in paper form, in order to translate that, you have to know how to pronounce it in the first place, right? To even Google the translation of the words. So what you have to do is that you have to go on your phone, open Google Translate or some OCR app or something, try to scan it. A lot of the time, the scan is completely wrong, so you just get frustrated.
Right, I completely understand the frustration. But I would like to clarify some points here. Firstly, when using a dictionary, typing the romanization of characters is just one of the methods. It works well for characters you already know how to pronounce. For characters you don't know the pronunciation, you can draw them on your phone or use a mouse to draw on some websites. I find drawing characters to check the dictionary is very beneficial because at the same time you're practicing writing the character to some extent, which helps memorization later. In today's world, technology makes the learning process much easier and saves us a great amount of time. Checking a paper dictionary decades ago was so time-consuming, even for native speakers. Now, we can use online dictionaries or Google Translate, and the OCR apps have become increasingly efficient. However, in my humble opinion, this convenience is also a drawback to learning. We need to be careful that we might end up relying on technology to translate entire passages for us instead of developing our essential reading skills, such as skimming, scanning, and inferring unknown words in the context. These skills are more important than just translating each character, because in real-life situations, there will always be unfamiliar words, but with developed reading skills, they won't become obstacles and will enjoy the process of reading and learning much more. So, my advice is to use OCR as a tool to check your comprehension of the passage rather than relying heavily on it for translation. As Roman also pointed out, it is not always reliable.
And I was studying these characters hard, man. Like, I have countless and countless of my notebooks in which I was just writing down the same character over and over again for pages and pages and pages and pages and pages, trying to remember it. To the point, where your arm can't really, even write anymore because you're literally having like cramps because of how long you have been writing down Chinese characters for. This is what I've dealt with, And all the long nights where I was writing down these Chinese characters, after each other for pages and pages and pages and pages, trying to remember it. In these moments, I was thinking to myself, why did I not just pick German?
I believe many Mandarin learners can resonate with Roman's experience. Even though repetitive writing might help to some extent, it not only kills the fun of learning, but also inefficient. Like we say in Mandarin, 事倍功半, which means double the effort, half the result. Having the right strategies to learn and practice characters is the key to success.
Now, as far as with my studies in university with Chinese, I was actually doing okay. I actually had pretty decent grades in Chinese and everything, and I was trying. However, I really do feel that after year 3 of university, 3 out of 5 this is, right? I really kind of gave up on it in a sense. Because I studied Chinese not really for the self-improvement, but just to pass the classes and just to sort of do the bare minimum for the classes. I'll never actually go as far as I went with English, watching English content and playing games in English, etc.
This resonates while we talked about motivation earlier. Again, I'm a strong advocate of intrinsic motivation as I deeply believe the satisfaction and enjoyment will take us go farther and longer in the Mandarin journey. Roman's experience shows the importance of input, so I strongly recommend finding something you are really interested in, such as pop songs, movies, Netflix series, and even Chinese literature, perhaps starting with modified versions.
So moral of the story, guys, is learn your languages and don't stop learning them and practice them. Because if you guys do not want to waste 4 years of your life like I did, if you spent long nights writing down Chinese characters, don't give it up or otherwise you'll end up like me.
We often hear the saying, practice makes perfect. It may sound like a cliche, and while practice might not guarantee perfection. But without regular use, we can't expect things to magically improve, can we? And I would like to emphasize once again, practice doesn't link to repetitive mechanical learning. Meaningful practice for speaking and writing, coupled with the right strategies and techniques, is the key to success. That's all for today. If you are interested in watching Roman's entire video, you can find the link in the description box below. And we would love to hear from you about your Mandarin journey. Which part do you find most enjoyable or challenging? Whether you need advice or would like to share how you've overcome difficulties, your insights are all welcome in this community, and your support means a lot to us. So please subscribe, hit the like button, and share our channel with your friends. This is Fun Mandarin 玩中文. Thanks for watching. 我们下次见。